Welcome to the Wisdom That Breathes channel. Across all our platforms, we try to share wisdom which is relevant and accessible to everyone. But on this particular platform, we go deeper into some of the ancient principles found within the scriptures. If you find some of the terminology difficult or inaccessible, then go over to our Keshava Swami YouTube channel where you'll be able to find other content which is perhaps more relatable. Thank you and enjoy the wisdom that breathes.
Hare Krishna. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. So we have this beautiful session now. And before we talk about the topic, just to say a few more words about Kripamoya Prabhu and Mother Guru. As I was mentioning previously, they are like the mother and father of the UK Yatra. They've practically been to so many living rooms, public halls, different places around the country for the last 5 decades, sharing Lord Chaitanya's message, and not just sharing the message, but also educating and training and inspiring each one of us in how we can also be part of that movement. Would you like to be part of that movement? You're already part of the movement. But just one thing before Kripamoya Prabhu comes on stage, there's one thing that you can do that will make Kripamoya Prabhu, I'm putting words in his mouth, but I think he'll agree with me, it will make him jump up in joy. Do you want to see Kripamoya Prabhu jumping up in joy? Then you need to know what you need to do in order to see that happen. All of you are in different towns in the UK and maybe in Ireland and maybe further afield. And what Kripamoya Prabhu has constantly inspired each one of us to do and know that we're not in any place by chance. Whichever town you're living in, whichever city you're living in, whichever place you find yourself in, that's not by chance. You're there not just because your parents were living there and you ended up there, but you're there because you're going to be an ambassador of Lord Chaitanya's movement in that place. And if you're able, in whatever way you can, to share the teachings of Krishna consciousness, to introduce people to this beautiful movement, if you're able to do that in your town, in any way you can, small, big, everything is beautiful, then you'll see Kripamoya Prabhu jump in joy. So can you do that? Can you think about that this weekend, whichever place you're living in, how can you be an ambassador of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu there? Today we're going to be talking about Lord Chaitanya's heart. And Lord Chaitanya is known for circling India, traveling and spreading the chanting of Hare Krishna. But Lord Chaitanya is also known for the incredible philosophical conversations that he has with different individuals at different points on his journey. And by learning about those conversations, by learning what dialogues took place, we're going to begin to understand a little bit more about Lord Chaitanya's heart. So are you ready? Yeah. Okay, good. So let's welcome His Grace Kripamoya Prabhu on stage with a massive round of applause and a huge Haribol. This is 50 years, louder. Haribol.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. I'd like to begin with a little meditation. So if we could all take a deep breath. We can bring those lights down, please. We're trying to sing the chorus of a song that was composed by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Just the chorus will do. That's all I have. We have the verses. I made a song about 10 years ago now on the occasion of the 40th anniversary of Sri Sri Radha Landaneshwar. Made a little song and performed it on stage. And I'd like to play that for you now. It's when my voice was a lot better than it is today. So if you close your eyes, but the the words will come up. Pranamami Shachi Sutta Goda Varam. Nava Gaudavaram, Nava Pushpasharam, Nava Bhavadaram, Nava Lasya Param, Nava Hasyakaram, Nava Hemavaram, Pranamami Shachi Sutta Gaudavaram. Nava Prema Yutam, Nava Nita Shucham, Nava Vesha Kritam, Nava Prema Rasam, Navada Vilasat Shubha Prema Mayam, Pranamami Shachi Sutta Gaudavaram. Hari Bhakti Param, Hari Namadaram, Karajapya Karam, Hari Nama Param, Nayane Sadadam Pranayashrudaram, Pranamami Shachi Sutta Gaudavaram. Satatam Janata Bhavata Paharam, Paramartha Parayana Lokagatim, Navalehakaram Jagat Tapaharam, Pranamami Shachi Sutta Gaudavaram. Nija Bhakti Karam Priya Charutaram, Natanartana Nagara Rajakulam, Kulakamini Manasalasya Karam, Pranamami Shachi Sutta Gaudavaram. Karathalavalam Kalakantaravam, Mriduvadya Suvinikaya Maduram, Nija Bhakti Guna Vrata Natyakaram, Pranamami Shachi Sutta Gaudavaram. Yuga Dharma Yutam Punar Nanda Sudam Dharane Suchitram Bhava Bhavochitam Anudhyanachitam nija vasayudam pranamami shachi sutagauravaram harunam nayanam charanam vasanam vadane skalitam swakanamadaram kurude surasang jagadajivanam pranamami shachi sudagauravaram. Thank you all so much. Bhaja Gauranga, Kaha Gauranga, Laha Gaurangera, Namare, Ye Jana, Gauranga Bhaje, Se Amara, Pranare. If you place your hands in the air, please. We say, oh, you are compliant, aren't you? How nice of you. Bhaja Gauranga, Kaha Gauranga, Laha Gaurangera Namre. O Bhaja Gauranga, Kaha Gauranga, Laha Gaurangera Namare. Ye Jana Gauranga Bhaje Se Amara Pranre. Beautiful. Such a nice sight. Wonderful. Worship Gauranga. Say Gauranga. Take Gauranga's name. Those who worship Gauranga are my heart and soul. As are all of you. Hare Krishna. Well, what a wonderful gathering. We've been treated to some amazing, amazing talks already so far. We have a verse before us today. Tam Srimat Krishna Caitanya Devam Vande Jagat Gurum Yasyanu Kampaya Shrapi Mahabdim Santaret Sukham. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the spiritual master of the entire world, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. By whose mercy, even a Gen Z dog can... Sorry, am I just reading the translation wrongly? Can swim across a great ocean. Wasn't it a fantastic presentation? Now do we all know what a Gen Z is? But I also want a label. What am I, Gen? Something. Where's Dale Mora? So this is the person who brought me to Krishna consciousness. Many years later, I discovered that His Grace Tribhuvanath Das met me once, twice, 3 times, and I didn't know who he was. And on the 4th time, I accepted his invitation to come and become a devotee. That was in 1974, right here in Nottingham. Nottingham, Ki Jai. Yes, Nottingham. Let's put Nottingham on the map. So Tribhuvanath, when this photograph was taken, he was only 18. He was the temple president of the London Temple at the age of 18. His mother didn't even know that he had joined the temple. The first time she saw him was on a BBC documentary. And the person said, "And now we go over to the temple president of the Hare Krishna movement in the whole of the United Kingdom." That's my boy. So I joined, but I joined at a time when the Americans had gone home. Those 3 couples that came from America, they came, they stayed, they went, they left us. I came at a time when George Harrison had come, favored us, written songs, and then gone. He left us. I came at a time when 100 devotees had joined because we were famous, and most of them had left. So our world was very much black and white, like this photo. Here we are, 1974 on Sankirtan, in black and white. Everything was black and white. We had to do book distribution just to save the temple from being cut off from the electricity and the gas. We traveled around the country in cold vans. We woke up in the morning with icicles on the roof of the van. We exited the van to sell books in the rain. We came home to the temple, and the temple was cold. Are you feeling sorry for me yet? I hope so. All I can remember of my early Krishna consciousness was cold, cold, cold. Meanwhile, in California, San Francisco, Los Angeles, everybody was in vibrant color. We here in Britain were in black and white. So the devotees said to me, "Did you know Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead?" I said, "Give me some time to think about that." God for me was mysterious, invisible, ever-present force who may or may not exist. All right, Gauranga? So then they said, "But did you also know Caitanya Mahaprabhu is also God?" I said, "Give me a minute to think about that because I'm only just digesting Krishna." They said, "Oh, and by the way, this Krishna consciousness movement is going to take over the world." I said, "Okay." I said, "How many people are in this movement? At this wonderful Bhaktivedanta manor of yours?" They said, "Well, there's 20. I said, "So where's the movement?" They said, "Well, you have to make it. If you sell Srila Prabhupada's books for the next 50 years, we'll create a movement." I said, "Okay, let me think about that." So here is Krishna. Here is Krishna. This is a beautiful Krishna. And I thought Krishna was much more attractive than any other idea. I had a few issues, but mostly Krishna very much attracted me. This beautiful cowherd boy in the forest of Vrindavan. Beautiful, isn't it? I also accommodated Shri Radha Krishna. The God also has internal energy and a partner in this business of being eternal. I also accommodated the idea that Krishna, as the greatest philosopher, spoke the Bhagavad Gita. I like the Bhagavad Gita. But the idea of Caitanya Mahaprabhu, all singing, all dancing, only 500 years ago, is actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead appearing on this earth, and that all people will follow him at some point in the future. Well, that took me years. It took me years. The difficulty is that for a British man, 500 years is not very long. We think in terms of centuries. In America, if you say, "Let's go to the Sunday feast," devotees will say, and they say, "How far away is the Sunday feast?" "Oh, it's only a 7-hour drive. We can be there before sunset." And I will say, "But that's so far." Where I grew up, traveling 30 miles away was a long way. Long way. So I grew up with a very short geographical span. But a historical span Here in Britain, we think in terms of hundreds of years. Robin Hood, 800 years ago, okay, here in Nottingham. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, 500 years ago, well, he was almost just yesterday. How could he be the supreme? So I had to very carefully listen, very carefully try to understand. Then something happened. Here's a map of the world. It's a map of the world as if all the countries were the proper size. Yeah? Look at that. Where's America? Way out there. Krishna consciousness indeed started spreading around the globe. First of all, in Africa, then in China, then in Russia. And as the years went by, I saw that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement was being embraced by people of all nations. And I thought to myself, well, maybe Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna in the form of his most compassionate avatar. Krishna himself accompanied by the compassion of Shishi Radhika is meant for the expansion of the worldwide movement, which is delivering all in Kali Yuga. Maybe it's true. We saw in my generation, and I'm old. My grandfather, I had a grandfather. My grandfather was born in 1877. He was an old man. We have a lot of old men in our family. So we saw, just in the last 50 years, we saw Krishna consciousness take birth in beautiful temples, America, India. And who would have imagined that the Krishna consciousness movement, which the Indians said was for the Westerners, would be something that was brought back to India. So many beautiful temples have taken shape. Gauranga Prabhu, how many temples in India? How many? 350. Are you exaggerating for publicity? 350 temples. Give that a round of applause. I can remember as a brahmachari, and I was a brahmachari in blazing orange robes. I can remember going out on the street, and I would tell an Indian if I met them, and do you know, we have 10 temples in India. And they would go, oh, that's very good. Now 350, wonderful. Where's this one? This is Pune. Beautiful temple, beautiful things. And even the Hare Krishna mantra, where is this? This is in Antarctica. This is in Antarctica. And I thought to myself, okay, now I have to. Krishna is God, and there's only one God, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also God. I got it. I figured it. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu must be God because people are willing to go to Antarctica to take this message. So I thought I had it figured out with Krishna speaking to Arjuna that yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bhavata. That I come millennium after millennium to do what? Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. I understood that, the different incarnations. And I like the idea of incarnations. But it was to the Srimad Bhagavatam I had to go to try to understand the specifics of how Krishna appears. So when Narada Muni speaks to Srila Vyasadeva, he tells him, tell the whole thing. Tell the whole thing. Tell all the details. So of course it's in the 11th canto and the 12th canto. We learn about yugas. Right through, we learn about the universal dimensions of time and how in different yugas there are different spiritual processes for different periods of time. In the Satya Yuga and Treta Yuga, there are even different incarnations who come to give the processes. Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, not always Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes, not always golden. But in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we find this wonderful verse. If you know it, sing along with me. Krishna Varanam Tisha Krishnam Sangobhangastra Parishadam Yagyai Sankirtana Prayer Yajanti Sumedasa. And I like this verse, although We didn't know it too early on. When I became a devotee, they said to me, I said, how big is the Srimad Bhagavatam? They said, well, we have the second canto, and Srila Prabhupada is still translating it. He's going to translate the whole thing. And I got so excited. The third canto appeared, we got excited. Fourth canto appeared, that was wonderful. Fifth canto appeared, we were bamboozled, puzzled, and we all wanted to leave the Krishna consciousness movement. Sixth canto appeared, and we all rejoined. Srila Prabhupada was asked, for mass book distribution, which are the best cantos? First, second, and sixth, he said. Why sixth, they asked him. Because the sixth tells you about the glories of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And because of this mantra being the process for deliverance of all souls in Kali Yuga, it is given here that the very person who will come to embody that process will also be chanting Krishna, 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 Krishna. But he doesn't come with weapons like Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. He comes with his parshadas, comes with his associates. You know these things. Well, we did a play, and in the play, I had to sing a song. This is my personal sort of golden moment, I suppose. In the song was this. Suvarna varna he mango varangaschanganangadi sanyasa kritshamo shanto nishta shanti parayana. Thank you for that echo. We went to the BBC studios and we did a play about Krishna Janmashtami. I was playing the role of Narada Muni. I came in from the back of the studio. They put it on reverb. They played it all over the world on the BBC World Service. Reverb always helps divinity. So he appears with a golden complexion, Suvarna. And I like this. So it edged me closer. And the reason I'm saying these things is because I know many of you have grown up in homes where there's Krishna, Nathji, Govardhan, Balkrishna, Gopalji. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sometimes comes as an add-on feature. And sometimes faith in Krishna is strong, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu may come second or third. So I made a confession to you all today, and I hope you will be equally honest with me, that I believe in Krishna, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu I was slow to understand. Anybody put hand on heart and can echo that sympathy? Look at them all. Yes, we're working on it. I recommend that you travel all around the country in a cold Ford Transit and you sell books for at least 2 years and you will call out to Gauranga because no one else is listening. Look at this one. This is Nam Alwar, beloved of the Sri Sampradaya in South India. And what does he say? Read it out with me. Victory, victory, victory. I see something wonderful. Beautiful. Great prophet. Great prophet. He was speaking in about 600 AD. 600 AD. So he says this. He's talking about you. Isn't that amazing? The prophecy is about you. So now we're back to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now we see him in a different light. And in 100 years, people will look upon Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in a completely different light. So in our generation, we've risen. We're all rising to understanding Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I like the idea of social justice, social revolution. I like the idea of leading a torchlight procession of 100,000 men, mainly men, sorry. If you want to go out at night with a torchlight in medieval Bengal, men are better. Especially if you want to do battle with the Chankazi. I like the idea of kirtan. Kirtan was wonderful. In fact, kirtan and prasadam, Srila Prabhupada said, there are two weapons, two greatest weapons. In Mahabharata, it is said that whatever is on a person's mind comes out through their voice. And if you understand the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have to enter into his voice and his writings. So it's not a detailed examination of Shikshastakam, but I just wanted to just share with you, and you know this already, the basic teaching passed on by the Lord. He wrote very little. He spoke much, but he wrote very little. But the one thing we do know for sure, absolutely sure, is these 8 teachings. First of all, we hear that the chanting of Hare Krishna cleanses the heart. In fact, in this first verse of Shikshastakam, it is said that there are 7 flames of the Sankirtan Yajna. And you'll be able to, if you analyze that verse in your home time, you'll be able to read 7 things that the chanting of Hare Krishna in Sankirtan will do for you and for others. In that verse we hear the power of the chanting, that all the accumulated dust is removed, fire of conditioned life is extinguished, knowledge is established, and bliss is achieved. Just that one verse, Cheto Darpanam Arjanam, just that one verse, if you learn that one verse, you'll always be able to convince yourself on a wet, cold, rainy day that you're doing the right thing. How potent is the holy name of the Lord. It's for all living beings. All the energies of God, the Supreme Person, are in his names. And it's accessible to all. One time, a gentleman came to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and he said, I like the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I like you, I like your movement, but I could never become a devotee. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, oh, why? He said, because of this verse. He said, to expect me to be like a blade of grass and to give respect to all others, expecting no respect for myself, I can't do that. It's just too hard. If someone respects me, I'll respect them. But if they don't respect me, I cannot respect them. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking for too much. So I could never join you. The desire for devotional service is expressed in text number 4. Leaving behind all other considerations. Are you getting it? Is it okay? You're getting it up here at the same time? It disappeared. Okay. Yeah. One who wants to become delivered from the cycle of birth and death will find everything in the Sankirtan. And this, just as we are rising in our understanding of different elements of devotional service, you'll also rise in the understanding of the philosophy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this one song. I don't want to bully you with it. I know it's the middle of the morning. Everybody slept well last night? Kind of. If you didn't sleep well last night, give me a wave. Significant for me to carry on moving in my slides. So Krishna gives Arjuna very relevant instruction, as does Narada Muni to Vyasadeva, does Vyasadeva to all of us, as does Sukadeva Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit. We find that the name of Krishna or devotion to Krishna is the sum total of all Vedic teachings. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his teachings to Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami, and if you just read those 2 chapters, what is it? 3 chapters, 19, 20, 21, 22 of the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila. And from that, Bhaktivinoda Thakur bases chapters 13 to 22 in the Jaiva Dharma upon, and you'll find all the wonderful teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu expressed as the Dasha Mula Shiksha, or the 10 points of arrangement. First of all, we discover that everything we see in this world is a manifestation from one source. Just as the sun is manifesting everywhere, in the sky and on the land. If we go to the sun, or to speak of seeing the sun, if you go to the sun, it's very hot. 11,000 degrees centigrade on the surface of the sun. Don't ask me how I know. But there's the inside of the sun as well. The inside of the sun and the outside of the sun are still the sun. But just as the sun has different elements, so does the energy of the Lord. There's the reflection of the sun on water. That's also sunlight. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches that a flower is the entire plant, yet there is hierarchy. The bloom or the flower is dependent on the roots. So with all these energies in creation, there's a hierarchy. Now we get to the Bhagavad Gita. And this is the bit really that changes it for everybody. If I say, give me a wave of your hand, if when you heard that the soul is eternal and you're not your body, that it kind of really changed things for you in your estimation of what these people were jumping up and down on Oxford Street. Yeah? Give me a little wave. Okay, almost everybody. You know, let me take a break there because I see some eyelids. We had, over the road from our Soho Street temple, there was an advertising agency. And the devotees thought, let's get some free advice. They seem like friendly people. So they went over the road to the advertising agency and they said, look, we're in the business of making Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message available to everybody. You know, we really want to advertise, promote, market what we've got. Could you give us some advice? And they just looked incredulous. They say, you don't need any advice from us. You have the best marketing strategy that we've ever seen. We talk about you people in our studio. 8 men, no hair, orange sheets, going up and down the road, singing constantly. You don't need any help in advertising. So at Christmas time, they said, we'd like to do a Christmas card with you, Hare Krishnas, on the front. Is that okay? So the devotee said, yes. It might have been Doyle Mora. Said, yes, that's fine. So they got a Christmas card. And inside, on the outside of the Christmas card, there was devotees on Sankirtan, on Oxford Street, jumping and dancing. On the inside of the Christmas card, it said, Happy Christmas, Happy Christmas, 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 Happy, Happy. This went out to thousands of clients. Hare Krishna. Okay, and back in the room. You know this, and you know this. I don't want to get all po-faced and tell you about the suffering of the material world, but this little illustration always does it for me. Man is chased by an elephant. He climbs up a tree, and he sees the rats are chewing on the tree. And he thinks, I'll drop down to the ground in a pit, and I'll be safe from the elephant, safe from the rats. And he looks, and he sees that there's snakes in the hole. And he thinks, Are Bapri, what will I do? And he looks up and he sees there's a little beehive. And every minute, a drop of honey drops down. He just catches it on his tongue. And he thinks to himself, it's not so bad. This is how you answer someone in England if they say, how are you? In America, someone comes to you and says, how are you, buddy? And you go, Great, awesome. In England, how are you? Not so bad. Roughly translated, that means we have learned to live with the difficulties of this country. It's cold, it's wet. First time I was in a class with Srila Prabhupada, lady asked him a question. She said, does Krishna speak Bhagavad Gita on the hellish planets? And I leaned in closer because this is the first time, I wanted to hear, is Prabhupada a proper guru or not? Because I was 17, so I knew everything about everything. And I could tell whether he was a proper guru or not. You don't get past my eagle eyes. Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta. Your name may be long, but, you don't get past me. And Prabhupada said, hellish planet? He said, this is a hellish planet. He said, every time I come to London, it is wet, dark, and cold. So immediately I thought, you can't say that about my country. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Your name may be long, but don't insult England, okay? And then he went upstairs, and I thought, let me go and see him upstairs. And upstairs, Prabhupada's demeanor completely changed because he was having a one-to-one conversation with each devotee that came into the room. And I thought, okay, downstairs, very serious, formal. Upstairs, surrounded by friends. And I saw there was two different Prabhupads. The formal giver of classes, the serious acharya of the parampara, and a person who could be your friend. And it was very interesting. I kind of like this one better than that one, but I got that one when, after 2-3 years of book distribution, the Prabhupada wanted to meet the Sankirtan devotees. He said, send in the book distributors. So I made sure that I was first in the room, and I sat pressed close up to Prabhupada's desk. And we were in a mood of gratitude because Prabhupada had given us everything. But Prabhupada just looked at each one of us in the face. There was just 15 of us. And he looked at us each one in the face and said, thank you, thank you, thank you very much. Thank you all of you for helping me spread this movement. No, don't clap. That completely changed the attitude that I had. First of all, it was sort of an acknowledgement that we'd been doing something right. That was helpful. Because I think that in the Hare Krishna movement, you'll always get told what you're doing wrong. So it was nice to know from the spiritual master of the entire movement, with so many potential branches around the world, that we'd been doing something right. And it also reversed and made me feel that with my limited capacity, I could do something for such a wonderful person, such a great person. That he could not go to Nottingham, but I could. He could not go to Manchester, but I could. So that empowered us, you see. Prabhupada was empowering us. Anyway, so we learn the most empowering knowledge, which when I first heard it, didn't really stir me a great deal because old age was still a very long way away. Now old age is, I've arrived. I've reached that point. I'm not the green leaf anymore. I'm sort of getting ready to be that dried up old leaf. And like Buddha, who sees the body rotting away in front of him until there's nothing more, we have to be confronted with our mortality. And when you're confronted with your mortality, Krishna consciousness becomes really, really serious. Really, really serious. I had to go for an operation, and the doctor said to me, he said, if this has happened in your body, I'm sorry to say you've got 18 months. If this has happened, you're okay. I said, thank you, doctor, for speaking directly. And then in the hospital, there was a long, long, long corridor, and I was going towards a machine, MRI machine, that would reveal the truth, how long I'd got left. And I found myself automatically praying that prayer from the end of the Ishopanishad. My dear Lord, If I've done anything, please remember that. You get really, really serious when you're faced with that situation. So I'm just saying, each of us is young, but the years will pass. So now when you're Generation Z or Millennials or whoever you are, please use your youth to connect with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by spreading his movement. We've gone off track, but there's some pretty pictures. What's happening here? What's happening? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is speaking to Sanatana Goswami. What's he say? What is it called? Bhakti Lata Bij, yes. Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. Good. What's happening here? You can call out, it's all right. Yes, Anartanavriti. You know the Sanskrit word for you. Go to the top of the class. Pulling out the weeds. Pulling out the weeds. Watering the plant and pulling out the weeds. What's this? Sugarcane. What's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu talking about here? Anybody at the back? Huh? Yes, love of God. Love of God. The seed is planted. Seed is planted. The cane grows, and inside the sugar. Sugar cane is, the juice is extracted, boiled, and it goes into what? Jaggery. That's right. So Lord Chaitanya says that love of God starts as the sweet juice, and it becomes thick and condensed with the application of devotional activity. What's this? Could be anything really, couldn't it? There's a white light at the end of it. Don't walk up it. Yes. You rise. That's the theme of our retreat. We rise. We're meant to rise. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, you should estimate how much you have risen in spiritual life from Ekadashi to Ekadashi. Ekadashi is not just the time for Ekadashi pizza. Ekadashi is the time for saying, how am I improved from last Ekadashi? It's only 2 weeks, so there should be some tangible. So in all these verses, Krishna gives these ideas that we can come closer to him by allowing the Mahamantra to bring us into the presence of Krishna. And I really liked Vaisheshika Prabhu's talk yesterday. Wasn't it wonderful? That as soon as you begin, Krishna says, all right, I take you seriously. There was a gentleman who was coming to one group in Birmingham. That's Birmingham, England, not Birmingham, Alabama. And he was coming, but there was a problem. He was very attached to fishing. And he liked to go, fishing with a fishing rod? No. They're looking at me and going, Maharaj? Huh? A stick and a string. He was catching fish. He loved to sit on a Sunday morning catching fish. And they said to him, Prabhu, this is one thing, if you do it, it's not going to be helpful for your spiritual life. He said, I don't know. It's so peaceful. It's so meditative. Do that on a Sunday morning. Do you catch anything? No, not really. But just waiting for something is very good. I like it. But anyway, for you, I will give it up. So he gave it up. 6 weeks later, I have to go fishing. So he went fishing, cast his rod. He sat there for 2 hours, reeling it in. Nothing. Started to rain, nothing. And then he caught a fish. And he reeled it in. And he saw on the end of his line was not a fish, it was just a plastic bag. Just a plastic bag. He pulled in the plastic bag. He opened up the plastic bag. Bhagavad Gita as it is. And he looked up to the sky and he said, Krishna, okay. I get it. Another man, he came to us. He had the Bhagavad Gita. But Bhagavad Gita is a world classic of spiritual literature. Did you know that? It used to be a book that people never heard about. In this country, since 1969, we've distributed more than 80 million pieces of literature. 80 million pieces of literature. You're applauding as if I did it, but the point is, there are books everywhere. The country only has 65, 70 million people. So there's more books than there are people in the country. They're everywhere, Prabhupada's books. Any charity shop, you will find them. Any shop, you'll find them. Amazon, you'll find them. eBay, you'll find them. They're everywhere. Books, books, books. And still we sell more, because still people have not heard. But anyway, this world classic of spiritual literature means that you don't read it, you just put it on your shelf. So you have the Bible, the Quran, the teaching, the Tao Te Ching, you have the Kabbalah, you have the, everything. And you have the Bhagavad Gita, because that's a classic. But you don't read any of them, but they're there for when I need them. So he'd had that book on his shelf for a long time, and he said, well, I'm moving town to go to a different place. So he gave his book collection away to the thrift store, charity store. And he moved 300 miles to Leeds, another town in northern England. I'm telling you because how many of you are from London? Okay. Did you know that there was civilization beyond the M25? You knew that, did you? Okay. England is quite, it's quite big. Goes beyond London. Anyway, so he moved 300 miles to Leeds. And 6 months later, in his new house, he walked past a neighbor, which was 3 doors away from him. And the neighbor had a skip, a skip in his garden. It was a dumpster. And he saw that the neighbor was throwing out some books. And he didn't have any books at the moment. He got a bookshelf that he'd brought with him, but no books. So he knocked on the door and he said, can I take some books out of your skip? He said, yes, I'm just throwing them away. So there in the skip he found Bhagavad Gita as it is. Okay, some other books. He took it home, put it on the shelf. 3 weeks later, he said, it's time for me to read that Bhagavad Gita. Time for me to read that Bhagavad Gita. He pulled it off the shelf, opened up the front cover. Inside the cover of the Bhagavad Gita was the following writing. This book belongs to Johnny Smith. His Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita that he'd given away 6 months previous had followed him 300 miles to a skip just 3 doors away from his house. True story. True story. Hare Krishna. So be careful, all of you. If you don't want to lose all your money, all your reputation, all your hopes of ever becoming a doctor or a dentist, except if you are already one already, then don't, whatever you do, pick up a bead bag and don't read one of those books. Because Krishna will take you seriously and begin reciprocating. So, 9 processes of devotional service. Caitanya Mahaprabhu talks about this. What is this verse? Say it with me. Sarvapadiva nirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhaktiruchyate. Wonderful, that's what happens if you do it. Well, Caitanya Mahaprabhu spoke to his nearest and dearest disciples. And he said, of all the teachings I've given you, 5 things are most important. And we heard these. And these are the things that are represented in Studio 108 or any of the smallest groups, smaller centers that have popped up all around the country. And they are popping up because small is beautiful. Let's say them very loudly. Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtan, Bhagavat Shravan, Mathura Vas, Murti Seva. Very nice. So Sadhu Sangha, here's a typical sadhu, sitting under a tree, writing. It's like a Jehovah's Witness picture, isn't it? He's got the little lambs and the lions are lying down in peace. And the snake there, he's not interested even. So, he's a sadhu, I'm not going to bite him. Sadhu Sangha is wonderful. Now, here's the difficulty. If all of you, 530 people, choose one person as a sadhu, can you all be friends with that person? All at the same time? It's difficult, isn't it? Yeah, natural selection pushes us towards only one person. But I say here and now, look for the sadhus who are local to you. Look for the sadhus who live in your street. Look for the sadhus. Was it something I said? They're going to close me off. This is a very polite way of saying, Kripamoya, your time is up. There was a person from Exeter in the southwest of England. He telephoned me, all distressed. He said, Kripamoya, I want to do sadhu sangha, but there's just no devotees in this town. This town is the wrong kind of town for Krishna consciousness. How many times do we hear that? This is the wrong town for book distribution. We can do Harinam anywhere, but not in this town. This is the wrong town for Harinam. Okay. He said, this is the wrong town for Krishna consciousness. I said, you want to bet? Let me find someone for you. I looked at my files. This is in the days before computers. Kids, there was a day before computers. Was a day before computers. My wife and I got our first computer in 1984. It cost us nearly £6,000. And you know how many megabytes it had? Less than your phone, much less than your phone. Anyway, we were very proud of it. Anyway, I looked on my files, my paper files, and I gave him the name and address of someone that was living in the same town. He said, but that's only one street away. And he went round the corner, knocked on the door opened, incense billowed out, kirtan was playing indoors, and the devotee had a beautiful altar. So, if you send a signal to Krishna, I'm ready, this is my time, then Krishna will make arrangements. I've seen it time and time and time again. It is mystical. Yamuna used to call it Krishna magic. Krishna magic. Sadhu Sangha. Sadhu Sangha was demonstrated by Caitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers. Gadadhar Pandit would simply read the Bhagavatam in 13 different melodies. He would sing the Bhagavatam verses. And Srila Prabhupada created Sadhu Sangha for all of us by opening up ashrams and places where we could come to get it and places where we could come to live. This is Prabhupada watching a play, the stealing of Rukmini, the kidnapping of Rukmini. The devotees said to him, Prabhupada, did you like the play? He said, oh, it's better than the book. Sadhu Sangha brings us into Nama Kirtan. Nama Kirtan is something that is as old as these temples and older. Nama Kirtan is from the very beginning of life itself in this universe. People have been doing Nama Kirtan. Here's a picture of Kirtan going on in the beautiful, I don't know which realm this is, but it's the artist's interpretation of a celestial, divine Vaikuntha realm. So chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. You know, just last week I went to a town called Hastings. You've heard of the Battle of Hastings. Everybody heard of the Battle of Hastings? What year was it? 1066. Every kid in England knows that. Just like Declaration of Independence by Sheshika Prabhu. 1776. The year America decided they didn't want us any longer. And instead of us imposing tariffs on them, eventually they would be able to impose tariffs on us. Thanks a lot, America. So Hastings, there was one devotee, and I said to him, I said to him, look, if you start, Krishna will send you people. So last week I went down, there was 27 people. 27 people. He could hardly handle them. They sat in a circle. I said, what do you do in your group? He said, well, we chant japa, 1 round of japa. I said, what, people chant 1 round of japa together in unison? He said, yeah. They sat in a circle. And you wouldn't believe the intense expressions on their faces. These are relatively new people. You know how devotees, when they're really into the japa, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. And these are all English people. English people. Dorios. I won't translate that. Muzungus. So here's different devotees from... In South India, we had Vyasatirtha. Vyasatirtha, and he's our disciplic succession. He was leading a Sankirtan movement before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came in the late 1400s. Raghavendra, Sankirtan, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bringing on Sankirtan. The Sankirtan movement was for everybody. You just see the joy on their faces. This is a beautiful illustration. In my vanity and my conceit, I was in Africa, thinking that I was bringing Krishna consciousness to Africa. I said, let's go to a really remote village where no white man has ever been before. They said, yeah, you really want to go? I said, yeah, take me there. I said, okay. It was up near Lake Victoria, and it was just a circle of huts. 23 people in the village, all living in grass and mud huts, thatched roofs. And we came, all orange dhotis flapping in the breeze. And people came out to greet us, and they were dressed, or should I say half-dressed. And I thought to myself, I am pioneering Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement here in Africa, going to the tribal villages where no one has been before. And then they called for the chief of the village. Chief came out and he said, so nice to see you. And he shouted off to another person. He said, kill a chicken. Kill a chicken for our guests. And that was translated to me. And I said, no, that won't be necessary, thank you. They wanted to honor us. He said, please come to my house. It would be my privilege to have you in my house. Went into his house. Inside his house, what was there? But this picture, the only picture stuck to the wall, was this picture. He liked that picture because he said, all the people on the left-hand side are all Africans. But he really liked this picture. He'd got a magazine from somewhere. Yeah. Magazine was called Rudi Kwamungu, Back to God. Rudi Kwamungu. Yeah. You have to say, Imba. Jina ya Mungu. Yeah, it means chant the names of God. Anyway. So down through the ages, we are part of a very old tradition, chanting the names of God in all places, all times, down to today. Looks like there's a huge crowd behind them, doesn't it? So start people on chanting japa. And, you know, there's a lot of resistance in this country. I don't know how it is in America, but a lot of resistance in this country to telling anybody anything about spiritual practices, or don't mention the word God, don't mention religion, don't say anything against any other process. If Prabhupada had followed all those rules, none of us would be here now. Prabhupada spoke quite boldly, very boldly. There was no phobia in Prabhupada's day. He said, there was a point when devotees were calling a restaurant by another name. You know, Prabhupada had said, start Hare Krishna restaurants. Prabhupada went to one city and there was a restaurant and devotees had called it, you know, something else. Prabhupada said, no Hare Krishna restaurant? He said, oh, you have Hare Krishna phobia. So he wanted us, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. He said, outside every temple there should be a big sign, Hare Krishna colony, come and join. Okay. Anyway, how are we doing for time, sir? Finished? Oh, okay. Is everybody okay? You still okay? If you're not okay, just stand and try and touch the ceiling. That usually works. Bhagavat Shravan, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. Bhagavatam is so like Prabhuji was saying this morning, that if they were listening to his Atma TV classes, and each class was getting better than the year before, but it was the same class. Haven't you just had that experience where you read something in Srila Prabhupada's book, and you've read it before, and you've read it before, and you've read it before, but now it's different? Because really, Krishna has opened a little door for you. Krishna has allowed you some understanding that you didn't have before. That's why Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam, they're not just pages with ink and 2 bits of cardboard. We should see Srila Vyasadeva, and through him, the power of Krishna to open our eyes. When Srila Prabhupada went to a particular press in America that was pressing the Srimad Bhagavatam, this press was so powerful that there were rolls of paper at one end, and 70 feet later there was Srimad Bhagavatam all stitched and bound. Prabhupada looked at it and he paid his dandavats. The devotee said, why is Srila Prabhupada paying his dandavats to a printing machine? He said, because this is Srila Vyasadeva. This printing machine is Srila Vyasadeva. I'll leave you with that. You can work on that. So in the Bhagavad Gita, how many of you, and this is a mass confession session, so you can raise your right hand to this, how many of you have ever read a story from Srimad Bhagavatam and you've gone to yourself, I don't believe it. I don't see how any of this is true. But I'm not going to tell anybody else that I don't believe it. I'm just going to pretend that I do and jump higher in the kirtan. Be dangerous. Be careful, because that can nab you when you're 45. These doubts can come back to you when you're 45. 45, between 35 and 50 is a dangerous age. It's called midlife crisis. And you can look at the books that you've read all your life up to that point, and you can look at them and think, how did they ever convince me that any of this was true? And at that point, pretty much you're a different person than walked in the door. I know I was. I walked in the door at 17. I was a different man by the time I was 27. Different again when I was 37. 47, oh, that was different. 57, that was different again. 67, definitely different. Okay? I'm just saying that every 10 years, Prabhupada said every 7 years, but every few years you're a completely different person than the devotee that you look at in the mirror when you get up in the morning. So you need different reasons to be Krishna conscious, to stay in Krishna consciousness. That's why it's important to keep it vital. That's why sadhu sangha is vital. That's why reading again and again and again. A lady came to Prabhupada and she said, what does it mean that I forget what she said, something about the moon coming out of the ocean. And Prabhupada said, read it again. She said, I still don't understand. He said, Prabhupada, read it again, read it again, read it again. He said, now do you understand it? She said, I'm thinking, but I'm beginning to. Repetition is the mother of learning. Yeah. So these stories, you will grow to love them, and they're really fresh every time. It's a very strange thing. You may or may not believe it. That's a mental function. But the intellectual function should kick in. That if I read this, I will understand it in a deeper way, in a broader way. Srila Prabhupada was present when the devotees were... Did you ever see Prabhupada watch a play? It was very interesting. One of the few times I got to sit beside Prabhupada was in Mayapur in 1977. He was watching a play. And the Ravana in the play was played by a sannyasi. And Sita was played obviously by a lady, married lady. And at one point in the play, sannyasi who was Ravana puts Sita on his shoulder and carries her off. And it was 1977, it was very strict, sannyas is very strict. And I thought, Prabhupada's really not going to like this. How did he get away with that? How did he ever think that was going to be a good idea? And I very slow, and Prabhupada was sitting by the edge of that screen. And Prabhupada was just, he was just killing himself laughing. Now one time, Prabhupada was in Krishna Balaram temple, and the devotees had set up a play of Lord Nrsingadev. Now, when you see a pillar of the temple, and you see a screen like this one, put up around a pillar, and it's a play about Lord Nrsingadev, what's going to happen at some point in the play? And of course, Prabhupada had told us the story many, many times, and he knew what was going to happen. So Prahlad Maharaj and Hiranyakashipu, they got to the point in the play with Lord Nrsingadev, and everybody, all the other devotees in the audience were looking at Prabhupada, looking at the pillar, looking at the screen, wondering when he was going. When the screen was pushed back, and Lord Nrsingadev came out, and he wasn't a very good Nrsingadev, actually. He was a bit fluffy. But Prabhupada jumped back in surprise. He jumped back in great surprise, as if to say, I didn't know that was going to happen. He'd fully entered into the pastime, fully entered into the Leela. So I just want to say that this is possible. And Krishna will allow you to pin back your disbelief for as long as it takes you to understand in depth. So all these stories, my daughter Janavi read this story over and over again since childhood. And she sat on a bus and she wrote a poem with some words. And that became her song, which has gone all over the world. Let go. Come and save me. Accept me. This is a beautiful prayer by Gajendra. And just the other night she was in Mumbai, and there was 1,700 people in the audience, and she said she had the most strange experience because she was singing this song on this Leela in English, and the Indian audience was singing it back to her, singing the words back to her in English. So she said, I never knew that would happen. Be prepared for surprises. So many stories, so many wonderful stories. And this has been the stuff of tales told to children, adults told to adults, tales told to adults, plays, drama, theater, movies, cartoons, everything. Learn a story and tell it to someone else. I don't know where that one came from. He got in there somewhere. Srimad Bhagavatam, original. Someone showed me the Srimad Bhagavatam that Srila Prabhupada's wife had sold for biscuits. And then Prabhupada reclaimed. But the devotee has that in his possession. And throughout the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada has written notes, margin notes. This question came up, is it all right to write in the Srimad Bhagavatam? Prabhupada's written all the way through. So Prabhupada translated the Bhagavatam as his life's work. Sometimes we need to allow people to come into the world of the Bhagavatam. Sometimes we do not do that. In our small groups, one lady was complaining. She said, can you please tell us something about Krishna? I said, yes, but you've been coming to this group for 2 years. She said, yes. Every time you send a different person from Bhaktivedanta Manna, they only give us the one class. You're not your body, you're the spirit soul, reincarnation, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. That's the one class. I just want to know something about Krishna. Murti Seva. I say to the book distributors, I say, wonderful service that you're doing, don't forget Murti Seva. I say to the devotees who've got deities at home, wonderful service, don't forget book distribution. Have a balanced package. Murti Seva, very important Very easy for those of you who've grown up in Hindu homes to do. Difficult, more difficult for English people to do, who would prefer that God is invisible. But very important. And the great civilization of Bharat has been based on all these components. Prabhupada said one time, I've given only 4 unique things to the Western world. One is Srimad Bhagavatam. That was not there before. Even someone had done the Gita, but Bhagavatam was not there. Deity worship, festivals, and wide-scale distribution of the holy name and prasadam. That was not there before. You were just calculating. Everybody comes to ISKCON's temples and they see, we really believe that Krishna is standing in front of us. Sometimes you go to other temples and it doesn't seem as if the worshippers actually believe. Prabhupada was in Krishna Balaram temple and it was filled, absolutely filled. All the visitors were there. And someone had given him a report that the Arya Samaj temple down the road was empty. And Prabhupada said, do you know why? He said, because Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, Ashnami, 9:26, Ashnami. He said, I will eat, offer me a fruit, flower, water, I will eat, I will accept. And we believe it. And he leaned into the microphone and he said, we believe it. We believe it is true. And therefore, because we believe Krishna can eat, Krishna comes here to this temple and he eats. And that is why everybody comes here, because Krishna is eating here. Which I thought was nice. We have our flower outfits, don't we? You know what this is? It's a nut outfit. Try it, you'll like it. When Prabhupada was, you know that famous picture of Prabhupada, and he's like this, black and white picture, and he's like this. It's on the BTG. This was taken by Guru Das in Conway Hall in London. And during that lecture, which is the introduction to the Sri Upanishad, Prabhupada is saying, all you need for God realization in this age is 2 things. The Hare Krishna mantra and a picture of the Panchatattva. All you need for God realization. You can be in the Antarctic. Oh, he didn't say that, but you can be in the Antarctic. All we need is this picture. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Maha Mantra. Rupa Goswami comes in and he clarifies things in case people think that we've all got to rush away to buy our property in Mathura. He says, wherever there's sadhus, wherever there's the holy name, wherever Bhagavatam is being recited, that is also a holy place. So, my dear friends, we're coming to the end. I hope you've enjoyed this little window into my soul, which is hopefully what I can represent to you. We are on a journey. Every one of us is on a journey. There are 2 birds in that tree, and we've decided to turn around to the bird who is simply observing us. The word bhakti means to share. It comes from the word bhaj, the root bhaj. Once you are aware that there's another person in your life, an all-seeing, all-witnessing person, and you start calculating that my activities can be done in such a way to share with that person, you've begun the journey. And here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives some very nice things. We're on a journey. This is an old picture of the saints going up the ladder to God. But just as they go up the ladder to God, they can also be tempted by the devils. What are the 6 devils? Bhaktivinoda Thakur said. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was once called upon as a magistrate. He said, please, there are bandits who are attacking the pilgrims on the way to Vrindavan. Can you please do something about it? And he did something about it. 6 bandits are lust, anger, greed, madness, pride. Okay, I'll take pride. Keep going. Envy, illusion, a bit more madness, attachment, yes. Maybe there's more than 6. Faith, We have something very precious. We're on that journey. Faith is a bit of a balancing act. Sometimes we should be very concerned not to lose any devotees. There should be a minister for bringing devotees to our movement and a minister for helping them stay. Many people just drift away, don't they? When Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was opening a temple in Madras, now called Chennai, he looked around the room and he saw it was very nice. The flags were up. The military band was just set to play. The dignitaries were arranged to come the next day. And he looked around the room and he said, "Where is such and such Das?" One of the brahmacharis was missing. And they said to him, "Guru Maharaj, he was working so hard over the past year to get ready for the temple opening, but he left. We haven't been able to find him. But anyway, temple opening will go ahead." What did he say? He said, "No, don't open the temple. But Guru Maharaj, everything is arranged. We got the band, we got the prasadam, we got the dignitaries, the newspapers are coming." He said, "No, cancel it." He said, "If you lose one devotee, search all over the city, try and find that devotee." So eventually they found him in the back of a watch repair shop. And he was so touched that they came looking for him, that he came back and he went on to take sannyas. He preached for the rest of his life. Good company. Look at that. When we were young. But not everybody can live in a temple. So wherever they can live, please give them the joy of kirtan, the joy of sadhu sangha, the joy of Bhagavad Shravan. I could never do that, your mind may say. I could never do that. Someone else could do it. You know how it works, don't you? We come from industry, we come from business, and there's departments. There's a finance department, there's a product development department, there's a marketing department, and there's a mail order department. And that's how we think it should run. So in the temple, we have a pujari department, and they do puja. They'll do the Murti Seva. I don't have to. And then there's book distributors. They distribute books, so I don't have to. I'll support them by buying a few books that they can sell. But in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, everybody does Murti Seva. Everybody receives and gives sadhu sangha. Everybody preaches. Everybody is a preacher. Everybody is a minister. Everybody is a guru. Oh dear. What does that mean? It means that everybody shares what they have with others. And if you do that, it's the most rewarding thing. People will come and they said, "You helped me at a time when I really needed it." When we see Prabhupada's recorded Bhagavatam classes, it's just Prabhupada speaking, maybe one or two questions at the end. When you see the recorded room conversations that Prabhupada has, there's a lot of listening that Prabhupada does. So the first item in preaching or sharing something about Krishna with others is to listen. Listen to them. Because only when they speak to you will you know what's on their mind. Everyone has 4 things that they're interested in. You know this one? Nice. Everybody's nice. So when you meet a nice person, what do you remember? N stands for? What are their needs? What are the needs of this person in front of me? I? Interests. What is he or she interested in? C? Concerns. Yes. What are they concerned about? What are they worried about? E? Expectations. Yes. So if you meet a nice person, be nice. This is the Krishna consciousness movement. This is what it looks like. That was what it looked like then. Everybody in dhotis and saris. But I have to tell you that apart from this weekend, most of you may not wear a sari or a dhoti. You, sir, you don't wear a sari when you're home. I know you don't. Let that go over your head. This is what the Hare Krishna movement looks like now. People, clothing is the same. But what are they talking about? talking about Srimad Bhagavatam. Oh, who's this getting initiated? Who is this getting initiated? Some young lady whose name is Vishaka Devi Dasi. Hare Krishna. But more importantly, who took that photograph? Yadu. Wonderful. So commitment is important for people. Once we have a certificate system now. If you chant 1 round a day, you get a certificate. 2 rounds a day, get another certificate. Collect them all, like Pokemon. You've got to get them all. 8 rounds a day, you rise. 12 rounds a day, you've risen more. 16 rounds a day, we'll find you. The relationship between the teacher and the student is so wonderful. Well, when I saw this picture, I couldn't remember why I'd included it. But it's a story. Prabhupada was in Vrindavan with a group of disciples, and he saw a lady who was bringing water from the river Yamuna every morning for the puja at either the Radha Damodar or Radha Gopinath temple. And he looked at his disciple and he said, "See this lady? For bringing water every morning for the puja, she's going back to Godhead." The disciples were, "What do you mean? Without any book distribution? Just an old lady bringing water from the river?" Prabhupada said, "Because of a faithful day by day by day by day seva, Krishna has noticed. Take her back to Godhead." So steadiness. And oh, look. It's not the Beatles. It's the same zebra crossing, same place some years later. But it's Dayal Mora and his group. Who's in there? Who is it? Do you know who it is? Dayal Mora and Rishi Raj. Anyway, absence of lethargy. I thought this picture summed up absence of lethargy. Whatever you're doing, put your heart and soul into it. Eh? Gosh, I wish I could jump like that. Those were the days. Okay. And the Lord will enter into your daily life. And some things will happen to you that you know are not coincidence. And you won't want to embellish it or, think that this is Krishna. But it is Krishna. Just like the Brahmin who crossed out the words in the Gita, Krishna came to his door. It's quite amazing. And Krishna will personally care for you too. We enter into the land of Krishna. Progressive revelation of faith. That's it. Welcome to the picnic. Wouldn't you like to go to the picnic? Yeah. Invite everybody. All right. I'll just finish with a top 10. Top 10 for Grihastas particularly. Cock-a-doodle-doo. Get up in the morning. Wake up. And you will notice the clock is at 4 o'clock. I can't be a hypocrite and preach what I don't do, but we used to get up at 2:30 in the morning, rounds finished by Mangalati. You remember that? Then one time, we had another program, getting up at 1:30 in the morning. Then I was with a devotee called Danavir. Danavir had a really staunch program. And that program was getting up at midnight. I think I lasted about 2 weeks. 9 scientifically proven benefits of cold showers. Don't worry, I'm not going to give them. I did my cold a long time ago. The only thing cold remains is my cold shower in the morning. But it does wake you up. So wake up, shower, put that phone away. Hands off the phone, don't touch the phone. What do we do with the phone in the morning when we wake up? Don't touch it. Don't touch your phone, your TV, or your radio till you've done your japa. This is a 7-day smartphone detox. Mantra meditation, 108 times. Well, that's easy going, isn't it? This is a slideshow for more gentle folk. Tips for japa. Read something for a few minutes. Now, if I was more specific, I would say, be a sage. Oh, you know that, do you? Follow the CHAD program, which means chapter a day. Yeah. Thank you. Do a small puja. How long should your puja be? How long householders should do deity worship for? That's the question was put to Prabhupada. You know what he said? 10 minutes. Shocks. Intakes of breath around the room. 10 minutes. Have your life worked out? If you want to achieve spiritual goals, you have to put them in your diary. If you would like to share Krishna consciousness with one other person, put it in your diary. If you want to go on book distribution, tell Divyanam, and he'll put it in his diary. And he won't get off the phone until you've said you're going to at least touch the pavement, right? This is what these devotees did. And look, thousands and thousands of Mormons all come to their temple. How's that possible? Mormon kids love coming to the Hare Krishna temple. How's that possible? This is America, folks. And do not forget, everywhere that Prabhupada was, he was always speaking, always sharing, always giving in a mood of compassion. This is Bhakti Yoga. This is the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He told Rupa Goswami, please continue the good work. Write books, open temples, take students. They formed a movement called the Vishva Vaishnava Raj Sabha. Sanatana Goswami was told likewise. The 6 Goswamis formed a movement for the spreading of Krishna consciousness. When Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, at Altadanga, the place where Srila Prabhupada met him in 1922, when he opened that place in 1919, he said, this is the 3rd manifestation of the Vishva Vaishnava Raj Sabha. Lord Nityananda Prabhu, he was helped by Udarandatta. When he received the call from Lord Chaitanya, go back to Bengal, spread Krishna consciousness from house to house, go to the poor, don't forget women, don't forget the elderly, don't forget anyone. And this beautiful painting shows you in the back. There's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Prabhupada, and you're supposed to be somewhere in the back. Please join. Please bring in others to join. This is the Chaitanya tree, and it's growing. We are the branches of the smaller twigs, and all the devotees are the leaves. The tree is growing. You're part of it. There's 2 things you can do. You can be a spectator, or you can take part. If you're a spectator, someone else is going to do it. If you take part, you'll get all the credit and all the glory. This is our country. These are the groups. It's taken us a long time to get to this position. See? We want more of them. We want to paint the country red. Hare Krishna. Let's read this, Srila Prabhupada's instruction. Giving people knowledge, jnana. Yes. Srila Prabhupada, the perfect understander of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's heart, the perfect representative of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Patita Pavana, he who will deliver the world. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you, thank you.